Games are a form of media, like books or films, but they are often seen as being too different for some people to engage in. This is partly because of violence in video games, as well as games being too difficult or boring, or being childish. Violence is not an inherent part of video games, and is also not as common as many people think, as many games require strategy and problem-solving skills. Violence is also just as much of an issue in other forms of media, such as television and film, and there is little evidence to suggest that games are worse for violence. Games are also not as difficult or strange as many people think. Although there is a learning curve, it is comparable to books being seen as boring. Both books and games are not only easy and simple to appreciate, but the effort to do so is much less than it appears, and is most often worth it for all the stories and gameplay that you can get from them. While some people consider video games to be childish, this is not true, because there are no inherently childish aspects to games. Games are often thought as childish because games are limited to physical activities that required imagination, which mostly children played, and now most people who play video games are also children. The settings of many video games also make the game unappealing to people who do not appreciate science fiction or fantasy, which they also associate with children. However, this is starting to be more accepted, as many adults watch science fiction and fantasy films and television shows. It is closed-minded and presumptuous to think that video games in general promote violence, are too difficult to get into, or are too different from other forms of media, or that only children play video games. Games are interactive and promote problem-solving skills, and often have stories that are just as fun and engaging as television and films.